That is the Michelangelo figure that I was referring to as man as the five-pointed star. Now, we will continue with the seven keys. The sevenfold division, rising from a threefold perspective, is a fact in nature. That is why the number 7 is universally connected with magic. The entire phenomenal 3D, third dimension world is the outcome of 7 uniquely different streams of living energy, force, or electricity. From another perspective, subjectively, these 7 types or inner qualities of life are the 7 rays. Objectively, they are that form side embodiment known as the 7 planes. In terms of synthesis, and as identified in Christian religion, they are known as the 7 spirits before the throne. Thus, the sevenfold division of the Trinity can be clearly differentiated. The magician learns to distinguish thoroughly between the subjective, objective, and synthetic expressions of these 7 major expressions of life. The rays and planes are especially studied, understood, and utilized in all magical work. Each ray and plane has a distinct quality that is recognized and used by the white magician who becomes sensitive enough to its subtle energy. All planes have a clear-cut line or self-demarcation, embodying a special kind of electricity, and therefore all are becoming a pathway through space for any and all consciousness of the same caliber. Like attracts like. Another important reason magical work is possible is that every atom or fragment of life is eternally connected to every other fragment in creation. They each and all extend from a unit of one. This means that one separated form of life can make a self-contact with another separated form through their divine central unity. At different dimensions within these forms, contact can be made through the points or centers via the 7 electrical centers found in every completed form in all nature without exception. We must remember that every object in the universe is a duplicate of the one God, made in God's image, and must follow a natural threefold, sevenfold, 7 times 7 division, etc., until it attains its own full maturity, no matter how simple or complex the form appears to us. This means that there are 7 major whirlpools of electrical force in every atom, in every human, in every thought, idea, or concrete object. In the human system, these electrical etheric centers take on a physical shape as our 7 major glands. The whole economy and functional activity of the human body is controlled subjectively by way of these 7 major glands. And Folger's copy. The further control of the physical apparatus extends through the endocrine system and then through the 3 major physical systems of the body: the respiratory, nervous, and circulatory systems. It becomes obvious to the learning magician that if he seeks control of his own body or the body of another human being, he must control it by adding or withdrawing a specific energy through one of the appropriate 7 major electrical centers. For example, if the feeling aspect is what the magician wishes to dominate, he adds or subtracts a flow of energy from the solar plexus center of his target. That target might be himself, another person, a group, or an entire nation. If you're surprised to discover that groups and nations have etheric centers, just remember that all forms, no matter what, who, or where, follow natural unfoldment of 1, 3, and 7, and thus have 7 major whirlpools or etheric centers within them. Think chakras. Some of these centers may be latent and others fully developed, but all 7 centers, whether latent or potent, will be there. Chicago literally holds the position of the solar plexus for our United States of America. This solar plexus chakra, or etheric center, acts as a clearinghouse in whatever system that it serves a part. Moreover, if you take into account all the railroads that cross through Chicago, or all the airplanes that come and go, and the central position of Chicago within the United States of America, you can easily see why it acts as our national solar plexus center. A black magician who wished to excite or activate the nation into certain desirable actions would utilize this national etheric center to achieve his ends. A shrewd politician could make this kind of esoteric knowledge pay rich dividends. That explains why this kind of data normally is withheld from the general public mainstream. Only by showing a good measure of self-control coupled with an altruistic spirit can a person be trusted not to misuse this kind of esoteric knowledge. The information concerning the specific cities that represent the 7 major centers within leading nations in the world has recently become public knowledge. And there are enough white magicians incarnate now who can easily offset most or all of the negative influences of a black magician. The magician studies the 7 keys from their major 3 perspectives, and then makes use of that knowledge to literally open or close great sources of power for furthering his own ends. He works right where he stands, pouring out streams of energy from himself or pulling vital forces to him through one or all of his own major etheric centers. All his work comes to fruition through concentrated imagination and thought power. First, he creates the connecting links between himself and other electrical centers in the form he chooses to contact. He then fires them up with energy through his use of his very own concentrated thought power. He knows the law that energy follows thought. Energy follows thought. And he builds his environment to suit his fancy through controlled, directed thought. He knows how to use a charge of electricity that contains a specific needed force to produce on concrete levels what is known as magic or miraculous results. The magician must become well versed in the mathematics of the universe. He should be capable of thinking causally, thus utilizing the 3 locks or the 3 primary approaches to any one given life point or situation. For example, if the magician stands on the physical plane and he sees clearly that the situation must be dealt with in a linear fashion, he employs objective or frictional electricity. If he sees the contact must be made at a subjective level, he uses magnetic electricity to further his ends. If he sees that the problem requires dynamic electricity, then he focuses his own consciousness into a point of synthesis, embracing both the subjective and objective worlds, and sends out a forward driving thrust or blast of synthetic energy, normally via a secret breath through the solar plexus chakra. These 3 dimensions relate to 3 respective types of motion. Frictional electricity entails all circular motion. Magnetic electricity calls for spiral cyclic motion, and wielding the high-powered thrust of dynamic electricity demands a forward driving motion. Exact knowledge concerning the many traits of nature soon enables the learned magician to distinguish the subtle differences clearly between a truth a partial truth and an untruth. The process for him becomes as simple as comparing apples with apples and oranges with oranges. If there is a complete alignment, partial alignment, or no alignment with the known principles of nature, then the magician knows whatever he observes is true, partially true, or untrue. There is no mystery about it, just the obvious alignment or non-alignment with the known laws or principles and postures of life. Causal consciousness comes gradually to every student of the secret of life. The science of magic is built on knowledge and only self-knowledge, not on mystical, blind belief. The magician knows when to go up or down, outward or inward, right or left, forward or backward, etc., in a consciousness to meet his own subject or object. When necessary, he can synthesize any existing duality and thus make his approach from that more inclusive angle. In summary, the learned magician knows how to turn all 7 keys. He knows that each key opens a far different doorway in consciousness. He can turn a key and step out of the dividing door to reach the furthermost point within the universe. Nevertheless, there are limitations to what a white magician or black magician can do. Law determines all these limitations. We will look at some of the prohibited areas for either type of magician, white or black. So, I hope the discussion of the 7 keys was informative for you. Namaste. Namaskaram.